I get this question from clients all the time. What part of Northwest Arkansas do I want to live in? Do I want to live in the north side, Bentonville, Bella Vista, Rogers? Or do I want to live in the south side, more like Springdale, Fayetteville, Farmington, in that area? Today, we're talking about both the pros and cons of both the north and the south. So, let's talk about that. Hey everybody! If you don't know who I am, my name is Phillip Shepard. I'm a local real estate agent located right here in Northwest Arkansas. If you weren't aware, I actually was a real estate broker located in the dumpster fire, horrible, please leave state of Illinois near Chicagoland area. Terrible. And I actually could have moved anywhere I wanted to in America, but I chose right here in Northwest Arkansas. So if you ever want to come down, talk to me, meet up for coffee, and talk about all the different reasons why I chose Northwest Arkansas versus anywhere else in America, let me know, give me a call, shoot me a text, and we'll make it happen when you come down to visit Northwest Arkansas. Also, if you haven't been down here quite yet, I made something called the NWA Starter Pack. Sounds exactly what it is. Literally a starter pack full of all the cool things Northwest Arkansas. What's going on in downtown Bentonville? What's going on in Springdale? What's going on in Fayetteville? What are the schools like? What are the hospitals like? What are all the businesses moving here? All the cool things you need to know about Northwest Arkansas. Package, literally a package, ship right to your home. Right to your home. Enter your name below, enter your address below. Where am I shipping this package to? Let me know all the information below. I'll make sure to get the package shipped to you right away. Also, side note, it does come with your first free mountain bike, so that's pretty cool. And I know what you're thinking. It is my favorite four-letter F word. Free! So enter your information below and make sure to get the package shipped to you right away. Alright, so we're going to break this video up down into really two different sections. We're going to focus on the north side, which is going to be Rogers, Bentonville, Bella Vista area. And then we're going to focus on the south side of more like Springdale, Fayetteville, and Farmington, Prairie Grove area. So the first part we need to talk about is the north side. Let's talk about the pros of the north side, living on the north side of Northwest Arkansas. And one of the more major pros that stands out when it comes to the north side is that both Rogers and Bentonville, but Bentonville specifically, is more family focused just by far. What I mean by that is that there's more events dedicated to family-esque things than the south end of Northwest Arkansas. So just keep that in mind if you're moving to the area and you have families, that there are more family events to get to in that area, both in Rogers, Bentonville, somewhat of Bella Vista, but less there, but definitely in Bentonville, Centerton areas, way more family events. Again, Centerton mostly focuses on Bentonville, but way more family events in Bentonville versus the south end of actual Northwest Arkansas. But again, you can drive up there all the time. Super easy, drive like 20, 25 minutes, 30 tops, depending where you're from. So it's not a huge loss, it's just something to be aware of. And the second pro when it comes to the north side of Northwest Arkansas is there truly is more biking trails in the north end versus the south end. So what I mean by that is obviously Bentonville is heavy into mountain biking trails. We're fully aware of that. And they're designed for biking, as well as Bella Vista. Now, Bella Vista is a little unique because there's more bigger, longer trails. So you can run out there, you can hike out there, and you can bike out there and be completely fine. Whereas in Bentonville specifically and parts of Rogers, if you're gonna be on the trail system, you probably just wanna be on biking, especially Bentonville, because there's 100 miles of trails of just specific bike trails in Bentonville. You don't wanna be running on there, that's for sure, or hiking on there, that is for sure. So it's one of those things to be aware of, is that more biking trails in Bentonville, but if that's your MO, the north side is definitely your jam. And the third pro of the north side of Northwest Arkansas is that there's actually more flat land up there for building of that nature. So in the south end, we'll talk about that in a second, but in the north end at least, when near Bentonville, Centerton, Rogers, Gravette, and kind of closer to Oklahoma, way more flat land to build on. Now, you might not always want to have flat land, but it's one of those things where it makes building a lot easier when it comes to flat land versus sheared rock, so to speak. So keep that in mind if you are looking to move the area and you want just nice 5-10 acres, just flat or relatively flat, there's a better chance you're going to find flatter ground on that north side near Gravette, Centerton area over there versus the south end of actual Northwest Arkansas. All right, let's jump over to the north cons of the area itself. And the first con of the north end of Northwest Arkansas is the fact there's a lot more construction happening up there than in the south end. Now that's because a lot more money has been poured into the north side at the moment, especially this year has been leaps and bounds different than last year when it comes to the south end. But there has been a lot more investment into downtown Bentonville, we're fully aware of that, into Centerton, fully aware of that. But mostly, a lot of construction is happening into the downtown section of Rogers. When I mean downtown, I mean the Pinnacle Hills area. Downtown, there's downtown Bricks, which is near Beaver Lake, Lake Atlanta over there on the far east side of the north side, the far east side of the north side of Rogers. And then there's actual Pinnacle Hills. That has been billions of dollars have been invested into that area. And if you were coming through the area anytime soon, definitely check that area out. There's just endless construction, not in a bad way. You can move through there just fine, but just know there's hotels, new businesses, new not warehousing, but there's new office space, new obviously soccer stadium, new Whole Foods, new restaurants always going into that Pinnacle Hills area. A lot more construction going on there than anywhere. The interesting con of it is that you have to kind of work through that construction side. And the second con when it comes to the north side of Northwest Arkansas, this is something you have to be living here to know this, especially for someone who watches the weather as much as I do, is that there's weirder weather on the north side versus the south side. There's a lot more rain and just weirder weather happens on the north side. We're talking Bentonville, Bella Vista, Centerton, Rogers, than the other parts of Northwest Arkansas. And that's because that as you get farther south, and you'll see this a trend, it gets a lot more of this. And so weather coming across Oklahoma usually kind of dissipates a lot of times. Sometimes the north side of Northwest Arkansas, Bella Vista, Bentonville will get a little more intense rain and stuff than the south end, just because of that, those hills, mountains, whatever you want to call them, not really mountains, disturb the weather in Fayetteville. So keep that in mind when you're living here and moving here potentially. There's a little more weird weather up there than down in the south end of Northwest Arkansas. And the third con when it comes to the north part of Northwest Arkansas, that is a tongue twister, is the fact that there's probably most likely higher prices of homes in the north side versus the south side. And that is really the driver of like the money of new homes being built in Rogers, as well as a lot of parts of Bentonville. They really drive the prices home a lot because downtown Bentonville, we're aware of this, and also Rogers, just the amount of construction happening there. There's a lot more single family apartments and condos and townhouses going in Rogers that are listed for quite high prices and selling for quite high prices that are driving the square footage up in general for the area itself. Now in Centerton, specifically in Bella Vista and definitely parts of Pea Ridge, very affordable, but that Bentonville Rogers area, way more higher price per square footage, which drives the prices up in general for the area. Whoa. Before we jump on to the next point, I have something brand new called Instant Home Updates. So maybe you're looking to move to the area and using things like Realtor.com, Zillow.com, or Redfin. Way too slow. Notifications? Way too slow. That's why I made something called Instant Home Updates. Sounds exactly what it is, literally Instant Home Updates. So enter your information below: name, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage. Where do you want to move to North Arkansas? What are all the cool places you want to think about moving to? Let me know with all the information below, and I'll make sure you don't miss a single notification when it comes for homes for sale or for rent, all in Northwest Arkansas. Also, side note, every single Friday I send an email out just kind of talking about all the cool things in Northwest Arkansas. What's going on downtown Bentonville? What's going on in Fayetteville? What's going on over the Walmart Amphitheater? When are the Razorbacks playing? What are all the cool businesses moving here? All the things you need to know about Northwest Arkansas, and there are so many things all the time. It's hard to fit into an email. It is really challenging. So many things all the time. Enter your name below, enter your email below. I'll make sure they get that email every single Friday. But sadly, side note, it's tragic really. You will get a little fear of missing out, a little FOMO, so to speak. But I promise you will be the most informed person eventually when you make your way down to Northwest Arkansas. All right, we've covered the north side of Northwest Arkansas. Now let's jump over to the south side, and we're covering the south side pros first. So to recap, the south side is really considered Springdale, Fayetteville, Farmington, Prairie Grove, and sometimes Elkins. So the first pro of the south side of Northwest Arkansas is it's just more established. Springdale is more established when it comes to, it's been there for a long time, but specifically Fayetteville. Fayetteville has always been the crown gem really of Arkansas until Bentonville really took its place. But Fayetteville's always been the gem because of the Razorbacks, because of the university, because of the affordable housing, and the library and the trail systems. Fayetteville really, and the Walton Arts Center, Theater Square, there's so many things that have been invested in Fayetteville. It's been way more established, more historic homes, more established streets, more established everything around the area. It's just more established. Again, I want to reuse that word, but just more established in general versus the north side. North side is a little bit more, definitely more new because it's new, but the south end of Northwest Arkansas, way more established and more things that have been there for a long time, hence the word established. And the second pro when it comes to the south side of Northwest Arkansas, and I'm kind of counteract the north side, is way more affordable housing, way more affordable, consistent housing is in the south end of Northwest Arkansas versus the north side. Fayetteville always makes the ranks of most affordable housing in America. Like it's usually like 6th, 5th, 4th, 10th, somewhere around there, always making the list. So shocker of shockers that obviously way more affordable housing in Fayetteville. Now it has creeped up over the course of a couple of years, but all parts of America have creeped up. But a lot of like Prairie Grove, Farmington, Elkins, Springdale, Fayetteville, very affordable housing when it comes to moving into Northwest Arkansas. So just keep that in mind if you're moving here. You'll see more affordable housing in the area versus Rogers, Bentonville, and other parts of the area on the north side. And just kind of a numbers generalization is the average price per square foot in Fayetteville averages around $200. Sometimes in Farmington it can go to 180-ish, and then Prairie Grove can go into 170s, 180s-ish as well. So if you kind of move down that pathway, so Fayetteville and then Farmington, Prairie Grove, Springdale is kind of a mixed bag sometimes because you have some like multi-million-dollar homes and you have some like smaller homes, to say the least, more renovated homes. We'll leave it at that. Anyways, the average price range for per square foot in that south end of Northwest Arkansas ranges from like 170 from a new construction area or nicer home, 170 to 200, whereas Bentonville is going to be north of 200 almost all the time, for sure. And the third pro when it comes to the south end is just the fact that there's more things to do. Now, this definitely leverages the fact that it's more established between the university and businesses and just in general, movie theaters, etc. Just more things to do, more restaurants, more things to do in Fayetteville, South End, Farmington area versus the north side. Now, I do admit the north side is definitely catching up very quickly. So it would not surprise me in the next year, 2, 3, if it just surpasses in general, which is kind of intended to. It's going to just do in general. Fayetteville does its own thing. We are aware of that. But long story short, there are more things to do in general when it comes to just generalization of things, whether it's bands, music, food, restaurants, outdoor stuff, indoor stuff, just in general. The north side is catching up quickly, but at the moment, south end still kind of takes the cake, takes the crown when it comes to things to do in general. And that really is because leverage from the university. University brings in so much money for not only the area, but for the whole state. And so that really keeps everything afloat with things to do is because of that reason specifically. And with all of that, with all those pros, we have to talk about the cons. Let's talk about the South cons right now. So one con of the South end of Northwest Arkansas, and I referenced this before, was the fact that there's a lot more things moving north than growing in the South. Now, there is part of that is that Fayetteville in the South end just kind of beats at its own drum. The university brings in 32,000 students a year. It kind of dictates what the area does itself. Now, the big question I get asked, does Fayetteville and this whole area down in the South end feel more college-esque? Kind of, but not really. It's not a typical college town because there's 100,000 people that live in just Fayetteville all year long versus they add an extra 32,000 people every single year on top of that. So the actual area itself is built for the living of the people here, and the 32,000 students kind of like help along the way, so to speak. So it's truly not a college town. Most college towns that I've experienced are like the college and nothing else around it. Because you have things like down in Mississippi and Illinois and other college towns that we're fully aware of that kind of just exist for this reason, not Fayetteville specifically, or not the south end of Northwest Arkansas. So a lot of businesses are existing here for that, but a lot of the growth is happening north, and that's something of a con, is that they kind of move at the beat of their own drum, but there's a lot more growing stuff north, and that is kind of a con for the area. And another con of the south end of Northwest Arkansas is the fact that it's much harder to find flat ground. Now, some people might be like, sign me up, which really means there's more hunting ground, more to your space, do your own space kind of ground. You can buy, 10, 15, 20 acres and kind of tuck a house in like the back end of a little hill or mountain in the south end of Arkansas way easier than you will on the north side. So keep that in mind. If you want flat, buildable, usable ground, definitely the north side, but in the south end, you will find a lot of this, a lot of trees, because you're starting to really push up against the Boston and Ozark Mountains here in Fayetteville and the south end of Northwest Arkansas. So keep that in mind when you're looking to move down here. It's not as easy to find flat ground around here. And the third and final con when it comes to the south end of Northwest Arkansas, and that is specifically that is sometimes more challenging to get to 49 versus other parts on the north side. Now, the north side has its own issues when it comes to getting to 49. 49, if you're unaware, is the major highway that runs north and south. The thing about specifically the east side of Fayetteville, it can be a little bit of a trip to say the least. Now that kind of goes hand in hand with the east side of Rogers, but there are parts of Fayetteville that are more challenging to get to 49, especially Springdale, the whole thing. So a little more challenging to get to 49 than the actual north side, but it's something to keep in mind if you're living down here and you have to want to travel to Walmart, for a job, or Tyson or JB Hunt, a little bit more longer distance to get to 49. Just keep that in mind if you have a job up in the north side when it comes to those big corporations. A little more challenging to get to 49 than the average bear. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, if you are thinking about coming down to Northwest Arkansas, download my 3-day itineraries link below. Maybe you're a adventurer, maybe you're a sports person, maybe you're a foodie, maybe you're a sightseer, maybe you have kids, whatever it is. There's a 3-day itinerary link down below for you. So go ahead and download it and use it to get down here. Also, when you come down here, I can give you a $10 tour so I can kind of show you around the whole area. Plus, we can check out some homes for sale or for rent and see how far your dollar will go in Northwest Arkansas compared to where you're coming from. All right, guys, I'll see you next one.